They will be starting momentarily here. And off we go. Both teams... Wait, what? I'm only seeing one team actually start. Did they...
No, they both went simultaneously on my...
Oh, really? Oh. What a disaster. I might actually refresh those streams because they are quite a bit out of sync by the looks of that. But that's alright. Both quick reaction times going into the Slothosaur. Here we go. They will, of course, just go straight for that mushroom to commence the fight, and we'll be using the middle strategy, obviously. Why would you not do that? Has many advantages.
Why would you ever go to the middle?
Why would you ever go to the middle, Brazil? I can tell you why. It's because you want to get up and close to those slublings and just cleave them all down, and of course, avoid eating all, but oh no! A missed mushroom there by Particle.
Bad mash.
Yeah, bad mash. He cancelled. He did, unfortunately, cancel that animation. That will lose him precious DPS uptime as he goes into this. Yeah. There we go. He's actually going with... That's quite interesting. Oh, he's running Auramonster, isn't he? Yeah, Particle is a big fan of Auramonster. It's a really interesting choice here. Bit of a tech choice going into this. It's not actually impossible that he may be running something like Soldier Runes for Cleanse or something. Because I think he has been known to run something like that with this kind of Auramonster setup here.
I know the Auramancer is definitely popular with the raid selling guilds, especially in this wing, to make Matthias much smoother. Because Druid isn't the best healer possible in terms of pure heals in this in Matthias.
That's right. Minstrel's Chrono is, in fact, the best healer.
Yes, Minstrel Chrono.
It is best at.
It can be very, very helpful. Minstrel Chrono can be very, very handy on this fight. And I think in terms of DPS, these groups are relatively even here. I believe. They are in approximately the same place.
With this fight, the key thing I look for is the fact that there is a CC on the Sloth at 20% and then another one at 10%. And there's a very good chance your crowd control skills will not be off cooldown at the 10% fully. So dealing with that last break bar efficiently can be very problematic. And that's just DPS downtime.
And that's the opposite of DPS uptime. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's... Well, I mean, to a certain extent, we saw something quite similar kind of destroy Snowcrows on this boss yesterday, except it was right at the start of the fight, as opposed to the beginning.
At the end, going full shovel on that fight yesterday.
Wow.
These teams are virtually neck and neck.
Very, very close here. Going into that 40% mark. Let's see if any of them get caught by the shakes. I think it's very unlikely. They will, of course, be using the Chronomancer to distort and eat as many of them as they can. And there's one. Will they be hit by it? No, of course not. That would be silly.
Noob seems to have pulled ahead just ever so slightly, but it's all going to come down to the CC in these last two CCs.
There it is.
Slothosaur coming out of the break and immediately just at 18% health.
Yeah.
DPS uptime. Talk about the DPS uptime.
What? But I mean, can we really call that DPS? Surely that's burst, Brazil. We've just calculated burst. Come on. You haven't even been watching Nemesis videos, have you? You don't know anything.
That's correct.
Oh, wow.
He's down to 7%.
Yeah, they managed to exploit 3% of his HP away there before he could even get to that animation.
That is very helpful for Lucky Noobs. They are most likely going to get the kill first.
It's certainly going to accelerate them.
They can get to trio.
It looks like that Harmonise are actually forced to take another mushroom there as well.
It's nearly a very bad match. Particle are almost dying.
That's the price you pay for having a hybrid DPS healer character instead of hybrid more YOLO.
So this is where we see that trade for a little bit of extra safety over pure damage actually not working out in the favor of Harmonise here. Potentially punishing them there quite hard and losing them a good chunk of time as Lucky Noobs moves on to trio.
Yeah, they were neck and neck for quite a bit of that fight, and you can see in the last 10%, Lucky Noobs pulled way ahead.
Well, Harmonise will, of course, attempt to catch up. They will be moving on to Trio very quickly.
One of the most engaging events in the entire game.
It really, really is, isn't it?
Just flying straight into the camp, not even bothering to take out mobs below.
Not wasting any time at all there, and they will immediately begin running around the camp, stacking up and trying to get as many of them to come to them as possible, and then cleaning up any stragglers that are left over.
Both teams do... Oh, go ahead. Go for it.
I was going to say, this event is on pretty solid timers. The only real way to make this event go faster is to kill Narella faster. So it's all pretty much fun and games until Narella spawns, and then teams will get serious.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously...
Narella, in fact, one of those weird bosses where everything can just go wrong all at once. You can get your teammates sucked up by fire tornadoes and just tossed around into absolute death. Trash mobs can overwhelm you. You can miss barrels potentially or not get burn stacks up on Narella, and she cannot die as quickly. Just a lot of opportunity for things just to get completely messed up.
Yeah. We have not seen a wipe on here yet, but it is a surprisingly common thing, even in very, very experienced groups. Things can just be very, very unfavorable and completely screw you over.
Salt runs on Mondays and Tuesdays. Very experienced players.
Yeah, but Lucky Noobs starting to deal with Berg. I think they will probably... No, they're not actually going to make him leap towards them. Oh, yeah, they are. I thought they were just lingering a little bit too long there, but they do pull him into the center, so that will give them easier access to those mobs so they can be killed. Because any extra damage that the mobs accidentally plop onto the cage can potentially screw you over in the later stages of this event if things don't go exactly to plan. Using this strategy, they're able to really keep the ads under control for the entire duration of the fight. And they're destroying, absolutely destroying Berg right now. His HP is completely melting away. The bees stinging him to death mercilessly. And Lucky Noobs making short work of this mountain of a man.
Lucky Noobs also using an extra player here that Harmonise is not utilizing. So Harmonise has fallen behind a little bit at Sloth, and they're going to do this slightly slower with one less player. So they are betting everything on a fast Matthias with the extra player.
And perhaps they're just a little bit scared by what happened to Placed into Abyss yesterday. You don't want that to happen.
It could still come down to Narella, though. If Lucky Noobs have a bad Narella, then it's entirely possible Harmonise catches up and surpasses them. If they wipe to Narella, they'll have to restart everything.
Yep. And that's one of the slightly annoying things about this event. The truly threatening boss is the last one. There we go. The Zane will be spawning shortly for Lucky Noobs, just as Berg is dying for Harmonise. So Harmonise not really too far behind. Certainly, you know, as you guys have said, a good Narella and a very strong Matthias and the random bandits in the ruins could definitely bring that time back for Harmonise here. As the dogs begin to devour the flesh of Zane for Lucky Noobs. Particle Art just cleaning up some of the ads outside, as we saw him do yesterday, in fact. Yeah, there we go. Got Zane already at 50%. Not landing any shots on the cage as well is pretty vital. He does do a devastating amount of damage if he is able to land those pistol shots on the cage by complete chance. Imagine how much harder this fight would be if he would just go straight for the cage. The fight will be actually really hard then, because he would just kill it instantly with his lethal conal attacks.
The cage, in fact, that can be very problematic if they do get bad RNG. If you see the minions on the cage for Lucky Noobs, if minions get spawned in mass and they just go straight for the cage. The cage can take a lot of damage. And if someone goes to try to deal with the minions and Zane follows them over, which he tends to do sometimes, and he decides to just unload on the cage, then that can pretty much set up a wipe for the group.
Absolutely. Even worse than that, the minions have a tendency to, in fact, go inside the cage, which can make them difficult to access as well. And can potentially, when you go in to get them, it can lure more minions or various other riders into the cage, doing even more damage. As we have Harmonise cleaning up the boss. That is Zane. Scared of dogs, doesn't like dogs. And Narella, it's almost time for Narella, as I'm pretty sure you were about to say.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're getting in position.
They will, of course, attempt to lure the tornadoes away from the group, so they will cause the minimum disruption possible. Otherwise, it can be very, very annoying to deal with them. And there it is. There is the spawn. How well will Lucky Noobs be able to deal with this? Wow. By the looks of it, very well. Her health is quite literally being burnt away by that oil. And as long as they don't take too much extra damage on that cage, they look like they have that saboteur under control. Yep, there we go.
Incoming fire tornadoes. We'll see how...
Oh, it could be a problem. They do seem to be spreading quite effectively. And there it is. They did deal with that tornado very well. And Narella is looking to be dead pretty soon here. I think Lucky Noobs have this well under control, and they'll be able to start Matthias shortly. I do have a down, but that doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at this point. And they will just slash GG here to get up quickly to that platform and begin the next section. There they go. Look at those glider wings in the gem store.
In the gem store.
Shared inventory slot in the gem store. Some serious value.
Shared inventory slots, potentially the best item in the game, unless you happen to have 4 copper feds, so salvage-o-matics, and 2 silver feds, and support decides that you need to keep them. That is that reduces the value just ever so slightly, but still very, very.
Umbrella is dead for Harmonise.
Yep, but so is most of the group.
As soon as they can get those 2 people to GG, they can actually res and move on.
A bit of an unfortunate miscommunication there. They lost a few vital seconds by not all immediately GGing.
Now here's the big test. 10 Harmonise versus 8 Lucky Noobs. And Lucky Noobs has people that are dead right now. And
Are they swapping?
I know they wanted to switch. They wanted to swap, but clearing this part efficiently is also a very big time saver.
That's an interesting choice.
Doing 5 people is not exactly the fastest way.
That's a very unusual strategy. I think Harmonise will be, if they knew about that, they would be very happy to hear that.
I mean, look at the gap that's already come down. I mean, Harmonise has almost caught back up already.
Yeah, and bear in mind, if they go in even, they will most likely end up ahead as a result of that.
Oh, way ahead.
Yeah, with those 2 additional players.
Need to hope for a wipe.
Yeah.
Harmonise.
And I think Harmonise will actually go into Matthias first by the looks of this, even.
Yes, it would definitely appear that they are going to be able to aggro Matthias first and get started on the fight before Lucky Noobs.
Oh?
Perhaps not.
Maybe not? I think it'll be quite close.
Yeah, Lucky Noobs is going to start the boss first, but the gap, the lead they had built up came down pretty well there.
Yeah. And, well, I mean, the additional players here are going to be very, very helpful, I would say, for Harmonise. I mean, they have 2 more, and that's great.
Yeah, potentially up to 30 seconds per player extra.
Yeah. Oh, Harmonise do seem to be delaying a little bit while they wait for some players, unfortunately. Particle running over to give them swiftness.
That is good team play.
Yeah.
Particle running fresh air staff for this fight.
I think that's a good
Matthias
choice.
Down 10% for Lucky Noobs already. Chronomancer getting a corruption, it looks like. Not ideal. They do still manage to get a feedback off, probably from the second chrono.
Well, you do not want to be relying on that kind of that sort of RNG, and that's going to dictate how this fight goes.
Another thing I'd be somewhat worried about for Lucky Noobs is getting good CCs off with 2 Necros, which are not especially high CC classes.
But they do have that flesh golem now, which is pretty powerful. It depends how he lands, I suppose. It does look to be that right now.
Looking at the health bars, yeah, Harmonise has done a very good job of catching back up.
They do have a bit more work to do, though, yet. This is actually going to get really close, isn't it? This is going to be very, very interesting indeed.
Oh no! Someone died and dropped the bomb on Harmonise.
That's awkward. No, they didn't lose anyone though.
Defeated. That was good.
Let's see who will get to the ice phase first. There is a slight difference in delay, but I think Harmonise may make it first, in fact. They are definitely approaching it. Soon it will be all stormy and poisony. And just all around incredibly unpleasant. Oh, Lucky Noobs do make it there first. But actually, I think due to the delay, I believe Harmonise are now ahead. I'm not sure how it looks to you guys, but to me, it looks like Harmonise is a little bit ahead.
So it would appear that Harmonise is in fact ahead.
Guys, it may be difficult to truly appreciate this, but I believe there are only a few seconds between these teams right now.
But you have to give the advantage to Harmonise because of the extra 2 players. The gap is just gonna get wider and wider unless they have bad mistakes with mechanics.
We could always see a wipe coming out in the last phase, though, if there's just some bad RNG.
Absolutely.
The last phase can be very, very brutal.
It really can be extremely punishing. Just one mistake and it can just snowball out of control. Bit of a weird reflect coming down. Does that even count? Yes, it does. Okay, good. That could have been really, really unfortunate there. But it could have been a complete disaster.
Oh,
Lucky Noobs.
Wow. Great damage from Lucky Noobs. And oh no, a lot of downs from Harmonise.
This could be.
Oh, that's
4 downs.
Oh, that is just. I believe that. Oh wait,
1 defeated.
Oh,
they lost 1.
That is a catastrophe in the very first section of the last phase.
Big advantage of the extra players. 1 now gone.
Harmonise well, they can still do this. They do still have an advantage, but that advantage has lessened, and just losing a lot of that damage uptime, DPS uptime, in fact, definitely has cost them there a few seconds minimum. This is actually really close, huh?
This is going to be down to the wire.
In fact, I believe we saw the same thing yesterday.
You can see with Lucky Noobs, their health bars aren't being replenished very fast. They are under a lot of pressure. The Druid is working overtime to keep them up.
That's Scholar uptime, precious Scholar uptime, which is actually going to make a huge difference in a run this close.
Well, looking at it, there's almost no one with Scholar runes in Lucky Noobs group comp besides the Thief.
Harmonise seems to be ahead by a couple percent. They look like they're at about 18, while Lucky Noob's still above 20 at about 23%. It appears that Harmonise is down to about 15% right now.
Oh, but they suffer another 2 downs.
2 downs.
That's a really
shovels.
Oh, another 2 down. This could be really bad. Oh no!
Oh, and the Mesmer was one of them, but he will get up and get the reflect off.
That's alright. And it is nearly 10% for Harmonise. Can they just hold out for a little bit longer? I believe that's 8% if I'm reading this correctly.
Yes, that's 8% to 11 for Lucky Noobs.
I think Harmonise are going to be able to take this. I believe they are a good chunk ahead, and their stream is more delayed. Just 3%. And I think, with several down, I believe Harmonise are going to take it. Harmonise defeat Lucky Noobs. Downstate DPS and Harmonise will defeat Lucky Noobs on Salvation Pass. A completely insane game.
Well played, both teams.
Very, very well played, but I suppose the player distribution of Harmonise favored them sufficiently that they were able to make back that deficit that they racked up on the Slothosaur there. Very, very close. But yeah, there we go.
Great match.
That was an absolutely fantastic match. So very well played by both teams there. Really, really fantastic stuff.
Oh, it would appear. Is AK in the chat? I
AK?
see a mention for AK. Or to give AK a shout out, AK is quite the bro. He's a great guy.
He's
a good player. He's a nice guy. I'll just go ahead and mention AK is essentially the ideal player.
The ideal player?
Recognizes he notices when he makes mistakes. He makes mistakes, he admits to them. That's what everyone should do first of all. And he's willing to put in the practice to get better. He's just a wonderful, pleasant personality. He's a great guy. If everyone could be an AK, the world would be a marvelous place in Guild Wars 2. I just have to say that. He's a really great guy.
And
well,
wow,
Brazil's done with his ball washing, so
yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, that does mean this is the end of the line for Lucky Noobs, as they have been defeated twice. Now, that does unfortunately mean they will be eliminated from the tournament, but Harmonise will move on further in the lower bracket and will face the winner of Placed into Abyss. And no hesitation to see which one of those will face Snow Crows to try and make it back up to the winner's bracket. So that's a little bit complicated, but that's double elimination. This is It's actually very challenging group content, guys. And we will return with Placed into Abyss versus No Hesitation on Salvation Pass in just a minute. We will be right back.